let's start this video off with a disclaimer. I don't know if this image that I'm going to show you is legit or if it is bogus. It is not from an official CompToUs source. It is not from official CompToUs Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or anything. It's just an image that's been floating around as a leaked hint image for the next 2As in Summoner's War on the internet. And we know how those leaked hint images go. So I'm pretty sure that this is most likely bogus. It may not be. It may actually be something that someone found that's actually going to be posted on Summoner's War, like on their official something in the next couple days. But I think this is most likely bogus. So just take that with a grain of salt that I don't know that this is super legitimate because it has not been posted on official CompToUs forum or anything like that. And CompToUs is not giving me any information on whether this is legit or not legit. Either way, I have no information from them. So... Which is pretty much always the case as far as CompToUs is concerned. They're like, hey, find out maybe in a month. Like, what do you mean find out? Anyway, let me just show you the picture. I'm talking about this picture. Let me show you the picture. Well, as soon as I show you, you guys are going to be like, yeah, I don't know if this is legit. Because I feel like if this was legit, it would be a little bit better resolution. It would be like the art team would have gotten involved. And they would have been like, you know how they did with the Spectra 2As, right? They did like the numbers around the thing, and it had the letters for Spectra, and then you have to like deduce the codes and all the different things, and there was like a lot more effort put into it. This one is just like they blew up some pictures and they stuck 4 pictures from, from the you seem very impressed with your you having guessed. Usually I am. But it seems like it's just like blown up little pictures from different monsters that they think may be the next 2As. If we take a look at this, I actually took a look at what I think that these are probably from. It's entirely likely, it's entirely possible that these are actually the units that get 2A'd next. But I just don't think this is an official thing. I think they're just speculating based on them watching one of my videos where I was speculating based on the next, or they created this based on my speculation video, or maybe someone else's speculations, because a lot of us are really thinking the same thing, is like the next 2A dimension is going to be death, so... You know, probably going to be Grim Reapers and stuff like that. Probably going to be dead and undead themed things. So anyway, let's say for argument's sake that this most likely bogus picture, because it doesn't look like it had a lot of effort put into it. Let's say for argument's sake that this is actually CompToUs art. Watch this is actually legit, and CompToUs art team is like, wow, no effort. Thanks, but hey, CompToUs art team, if this was actually... No, this can't be. It's not enough effort to be CompToUs art team, to be honest. Anyway, let's say for our argument's sake, this is actually... If this is actually legit and this does wind up on their Twitter post or whatever, and they're just like, no, Bagel, we're just too busy to make something more creative because we're working on Lost Centauri and we're working on Chronicles or whatever. Let's say for argument's sake that this is actually... something regarding the next 2As. If this was, the first picture seems very obvious, right? It's an eye. It's an eyeball, which is my first instinct. I know some people are already looking at that, right? Like, oh, what eyeball is it? Well, I mean, it looks like a snake eyeball, right? Looks like a snake ball. Snake balls. Looks like a snake eyeball. Well, this is the closest thing. It's this or the Marshall cat, right? As far as that. Until you start thinking more into it, until you start like really taking a look at the other things, it's like what units were you speculating? Like this has nothing to do with Igmonodon, has nothing to do with death. Also, if we take a look again, it looks like it's a ring around his eyeball. He doesn't have a ring around his eyeball, right? So if we speculate, if we take a look at the other units, right, that we were thinking that it may be, right? Is there anything over here that makes it seem like there's a howl? Maybe? I don't really see anything too much that resembles a howl. Maybe like the little triangle on the hat or something. Maybe that thing in the bottom right triangle. Still, it doesn't really look like it, right? It looks like something's glowing there, but not quite the glowing wand. But anyway, it doesn't really look like that. Let's take a look at the next thing that we speculated that it may be the mummy. Where's the mummy? I don't know where this mummy is. Where's the mummy? Okay, so this is the mummy. I mean, there's something, again, it's very zoomed in, it's very fuzzy, it's very vague. Maybe some of these things might be the mummy. He's got a little bit of armor right there, right? He's got a little bit of armor, but it doesn't like it. Let's say like the bottom left-hand corner. He's got a little armor, but it doesn't really look like the mummy's armor, does it? No, it doesn't. Does it look like a different color mummy's armor? Not really, because they don't have that same color scheme going on for the armor, right? As far as like the rings and stuff. So it looks like a dark armor with like a band of like light colored something, right? I know you guys are ahead of me, aren't you? Some of you are ahead of me. You're like, Vega, I know what it is. Vega, I'm typing. I see you typing. I know you're typing. I see you typing, right? So we speculated it could be some of those. Okay, what about some of these Grim? We also speculated it could be the Grim Reaper. Well, the Grim Reaper does not have snake eyes, does he? I don't think so. Look at this Grim Reaper. He doesn't have snake eyes. You see snake eye in the like snake-looking eye in the top left-hand corner. Until you move him and you see. Actually, we can't see too much. But can you see his? Can you see a little bit on his belt? Well, you can't really see. If you open up the game on your phone on your device, he's got that belt. That's what that's from, right? So that's what that's from. So even if this is bogus, it's entirely possible the Grim Reaper is the most likely candidate for this next 2A dungeon. So it's entirely possible that even if this is bogus, which is, again, it's probably most likely bogus, that is still going to be the next 2A monster, regardless, right? So it'll be like, oh, it was correct all along. It's like, yeah, they just used logic and common sense. So, yeah, either way, if that's the case, then that's the case. Then we have some of these other ones. Now, some of these look like they are from something that has armor. Well, what else is death-themed that has armor? Oh, right. Well, I mean, again, it's another very likely candidate. Living Armor is a death-themed dungeon. He is an undead style of unit. He's not the living. I mean, he's a living armor, but he's not like an alive thing. Listen, you know what I mean? You don't know what I mean. You know what I mean, though? Right? So anyway, this is more along the lines of the armor that we see in this, right? And the bottom left-hand corner, that's more along the lines of like the dark and then the ridge of light over there. So it's looking like this image is actually taken from the Living Armors and the Grim Reapers. So I mean, it's entirely possible that these are the next 2A monsters, because these are like the most likely candidates already, regardless of this image or not. These are some of the most likely candidates. We're talking about the Howls and the Mummies also. We're talking about the Living Armors in there. Just stuff that's revolving around death and undead and stuff like that. And I mean, come to us already in the shift. If you guys missed out on the shift a while ago, when it had like 6 months ago or something like that at this point, maybe it was 4 months ago. I don't know. Whenever the shift happened, I don't remember the exact. Maybe it was closer to 4. I don't know when it was. Listen, they said in their QA thing there was like a little thing where there was like the question was asked in French and there was responded in Korean or something like that, where they're talking about like the next dimension hole dungeon or dimension, sorry. And they said it was death themed, right? So, I mean, we already talked about all this previously, but yeah, these are like, there's not, you're not gonna see things like the what is it? Like, you're not gonna see things like the Viking in a death themed dungeon unless he's like, yeah, you're not gonna see the Viking in a death themed dungeon. So Comtos already confirmed that it was death themed. So there's very few units that it could possibly be in the first place. So again, this is, I mean, it's probably pretty likely that these are the units that it's going to be regardless if this is legit or not. But I figured I would just share it with you guys just in case it is for whatever reason legit. But again, I think that it's just too low effort to actually be done by Com2uS directly. Also, now that I'm noticing it, Com2uS would never put that Summoner's War logo like off center. Like, it's off center. They didn't even put it on center. Right? Like, you remember the other ones that they had where they leaked on social media and they're like, oh, this thing, like, the Spectra thing, like, they made a whole thing, and it was a little thing, and it had that, and I don't know, man. I just think that this is too low effort to actually be Com2uS. This just looks bogus to me. But anyway, I still think that these are probably likely going to be the next 2A monsters, but for me, it looks bogus. I wanted to address it because I know people are curious about it, if it's legit or not, or like people are saying like, oh, it's a leak about the next 2A. Like, So I know I have to address it either way. So anyway, that's it for this one. This was way too long of a video. I apologize. This was not supposed to be so long of a video because we don't really need to talk too much about it. It's just like people are excited for the next 2A, but again, I don't think this is I don't think this is it. Anyway, that's it for, well, I mean, I think these are going to be the monsters, but I don't think that this is a legit leak picture. Anyway, that's it for this one. I will see you as always in the next one.